peace, infinite waters diving deep once again. What matters most? And for me, this is one of the biggest questions I ask myself every single day when I wake up. What matters most? And now I just see it's time for elevation. And as I see it, so many people are awakening to a world of infinite possibilities. The old system, the old way is all dying, and it is the end of Earth as we know it. And for me, when we ask ourselves this question, what matters most, for so many people is different. Maybe it's the money, the fame, the fortune, success, popularity. For me, at this present moment, the only thing that matters is elevation. And that's why I've dedicated my whole life to it, because I realize the need for planet Earth to move to a higher vibration. Because at the moment, many people are stuck in a low density, a low vibration, and because of that, they can't breathe. And for me, that's how it was in my journey, until I said, okay, what matters most? Is it being in a job? So many of us, we're giving away our energy every single day. We're going to a job which just drains our energy. Many people are pleasing everyone outside of themselves, neglecting their own inner work that needs to take place. Many people have even neglected their body, the right foods. And for me, that's what I wanted to cultivate within myself, was balance. And every day it's something you got to work at, because there's so much manipulation when we talk of universal mind control, which is to make a human being hate themselves. And that's what's happened to so many of us on the planet. We can talk of depression, we can talk of all of these things, because whenever you are away from source, when you're away from your own authenticity, then people become destructive. And that's what I even saw on my own journey. And that's why what matters most to me now is about upliftment. It's about essentially realizing there is so much more to our existence than just being a slave, being part of this group mentality. Everyone wants to think the same, be the same, look the same, and no one even has unique ideas anymore. So many people are just copying what other people have said from a book. And that's why for me, I just throw away all my books now, in terms of, I have books, but they're not the authority. I realize nature is the authority. Nature is the great teacher, which we're all learning from. And a lot of us, when we say what matters most, for me, another question was, what are you doing? And for me, I realized this was another question which really helped awaken me to a greater reality, to realize, okay, what am I doing with my life? Most of us, we're only working for two things: food and accommodation. The only species on the planet who has to pay for a rent. And at the same time, even if you have a house, you've got to take a mortgage. What does a mortgage mean? More death gauge. So it's a death gauge. So that's why you're always going to be in debt, perpetual debt. And for me, I'm just realizing this is not the way it has to be. And that's why I'm taking, and so many other people are seeing ways how they can live more in tune with nature, because this is not the only reality that exists. This is not the reality we deserve. Many of us are becoming crazy. We've lost our essence, and that's why so many people are out here running buck wild, because we've forgotten what matters most. And for me, it's just elevation, it's simplicity, it's connecting with the love energy, sharing it with someone beautiful, instead of just accumulating. We've turned into a consumer nation. If you haven't got the latest iPhone, what's going to happen? You're not cool, you're not fashionable. If you're not wearing the latest clothes, the latest designer, Ralph Lauren and Versace, Louis Vuitton handbag, then you're not cool. But for me, I've just realized all of this is irrelevant, because it all goes back to What are you doing on your journey for your own elevation? Your own journey within? What matters most? And for a long time, I've just realized that so many of us are externalizing our power here. We're more focused on this conspiracy or this agenda or that agenda instead of realizing that what are you doing with your life? What matters most to you? Is it what they're showing on the news, which is mostly propaganda, which is mostly to take you out of your element? Is it the reality television shows? Is it these celebrities? Or is it connecting to a community which is about elevation? Is it about getting out of this mess that so many of us on the planet find ourselves in? Switching off the television, which tells lies to your vision. Creating a new environment, a healthier environment. And for me, this is one question which I always say we have to get back to critical thinking. Lateral thinking, where we're thinking in a lateral way, not just a narrow mind, thinking outside of the box that so many of us have been put into, that we put ourselves into. Many of us are walking around brain dead. It's just a miracle we're still alive. And it's just amazing because for me, I'm just realizing that these days it's about getting rid of all of this stuff we don't need. Even in my room, I look around and say, gosh, I've just accumulated so much stuff. And for me, everything external is just a reflection of what's going on inside. So as you're clearing away all of these things that don't really matter, you're also clearing away your inner baggage and luggage and all of these things. But for me, going back to critical thinking, it's the why is one of the most important words, I feel, because when you ask yourself, why am I doing this? Or what am I doing? Or where am I going? You see, as children, many of us have been dumbed down in these concentration camps they call schools. And therefore, we lose our critical thinking. And that's why a lot of people, they're depressed. They don't even know why they're depressed, because they're out of tune with their own organic self. They can't even feel anymore. And for me, it's just liberating when you can actually ask these questions and say, okay, what matters most? And for me, it's all about elevation now. I made a choice a long time ago. I even had my family saying, okay, you can even work, get a 6-figure salary, go and work in a bank. I didn't want to work in a bank. I could have worked even as a psychologist in the industry, but I didn't want to just work in the matrix. For me, it was just about benefiting humanity in a broader scale. Because for me, as I see it, we live in a flash of light. There is only now, tomorrow's not promised. Therefore, whatever we do, we got to make it count. There is no life guarantee. Even though we are immortal, but at the same time, one life to live in this incarnation, and let's get it right this time. That's what I'm saying to myself. I don't want to have to come back here and do the same things I should have done in this lifetime. I've got to keep it moving. I've got to keep doing things and elevating and realizing that very few people are able to break the mold and the change society has bestowed upon them. But essentially, those few people will always rise to a higher level because essentially they're following their heart. And for me, that's what I've realized the most essential thing is follow your dreams, follow your heart, and ask yourself the question, what matters most? And that's how I see it. Everyone is exactly where they need to be. And for me, that's why I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. If this resonates with you, that's beautiful. If not, press fast forward. But for me, it's just about getting back into tune with nature, eating the right foods. Many of us are comatose on poison all around us. it's funny because I'm just seeing like how people are. Like I just saw this nurse when I was just going out, and she was smoking, and I'm like, you're supposed to be a nurse. You're supposed to be. That's your profession, to save lives. Yet you are smoking, which is gonna kill your life. It doesn't make sense. It just shows how backward we've become. So many people are committing unconscious suicide. So for me, what matters most is a heightened state of awareness, to realize that we live in abundance. Abundance is our natural state. When you focus on your inward journey and cultivating your inner gifts, because all of this material, whether it's your nice iPhone, your nice car, eventually it's going to disintegrate into ashes. At the same time, only the truth will remain. And for me, that's what is empowering, to realize it's not about following this book, this guru. We should be living in a world with no authority except universal law. So for me, what matters most is the truth and nothing but the truth. You want the truth, you can't handle the truth. Infinite waters diving deep once again. Stay well, stay healthy. Peace.